Please welcome our next team, Eye Check.
Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Daniel. I'm coming from the University of Trento in Italy. I see your large audience here today. I appreciate that. How many people are in this room? Maybe 100, more or less. Maybe we're 120 this morning. I'm really happy that you are all here, but there's an elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is that 10 of us are going to die because of cancer. You may not believe a simple guy as me, but according to the World Health Organization statistics, 8% of world population is dying because of cancer. But why is this number so great? The answer is pretty simple. Late diagnosis. Discovering cancer at a late stage makes treatment impossible, mainly because cancer cells spread all over the body. This late diagnosis problem could be easily solved by taking preliminary checkups that usually people avoid mainly for 4 reasons. First of all, pain. Yes, most of the currently used techniques nowadays are invasive, and this frightens people, frightens also me. Then, it's a matter of time and money. A simple CT scan has an average cost of 200 euros, and it requires more than half an hour to complete the checkup. Then, it's a matter of time, Then, all the techniques used nowadays require a specialist to take the checkup. This has a huge impact on the final cost of the exam, both for the final user and for the national health system. Well, it would be great to tell you that we have the solution for all kinds of cancer, but probably in that case we would be competing for the Nobel Prize in Stockholm. Instead we were focusing on eye cancer, which is one of the most difficult to diagnose. Still, according to the World Health Organization statistics, there are 4 million people suffering from eye cancer. Moreover, 100,000 new cases are registered every year. For this pathology, the 5-year survival rate is estimated to be around 80%, but if, as often happens, cancer cells spread all over the body, this rate dramatically drops to 15%. Yeah, this one. But what are the effects of having eye cancer? Let's suppose these are your friends competing in a karaoke contest. At an early stage, you will start seeing them a bit blurred. As time passes, you will start seeing them more and more blurred, and your range of vision will be more limited. Finally, at a late stage, you will see this. But today we have the solution, and it's called Eye Check. Eye Check is a non-invasive device able to quickly discover eye cancer by simply taking a photo. This is Eye Check, and now let's see how it works.
So we're doing a simulation to show how Eye Check works in the optician shops. So he will play the optician, and he will play the customer. So the customer will walk into the shop, and he will sit down in front of the thermal camera. He will close his eyes for a couple of seconds in order for his eyes to warm up. As soon as the optician presses the Analyze button, he will open his eyes for 5 seconds without blinking. During these 5 seconds, the device will take several thermal images, as you can see on the screen. These images are used to assess the cooling down process of the eye. In case of cancer, the cooling down process will be slower. This technique is already used by most hospitals to diagnose breast cancer. Immediately after these 5 seconds, the device will give the response, positive or negative. In case of a positive response, the person should still see a specialist, since Eye Check is a pre-screening exam. Also, additional information will be displayed, such as temperature differential maps, minimum maximum temperature, and so on. Fortunately, this guy is healthy. Let us also show you the case of one of our real patients. As you can see, cancer has been detected. Moreover, Eye Check provides the location of the cancer. So far, the testing phase was done in partnership with the Careggi Hospital. It's the biggest health structure in Tuscany and one of the biggest in Italy. We are collaborating with the university and an eye tomography specialist in order to collect clinical data and complete our testing phase. At the moment, Eye Check has an accuracy of 98%, but with additional testing we will be able to improve this number.
But are people really going to use Eye Check? During the development phase, we validated the idea with several opticians, which are our customers. Then we made the validation also with the end users, and we found that 72% would take the checkup and that the willingness to pay is of 20 euros. Compared to the techniques used nowadays, iCheck is the solution to the problems we mentioned before. It is cheap, as it doesn't need an expensive equipment, and it is fast, as it lasts no more than 1 minute. Moreover, it doesn't need a specialist to be used. And finally, it is totally non-invasive, since the procedure is contactless. iCheck has two main components: the thermal camera that we lease directly from the supplier and the software that we developed in-house. Then we provide our device to opticians. The incentive for them is that on one hand we give iCheck to them for free, and on the other hand opticians receive a share of 40% on the price of every checkup that is done. Our strategy is to start with 3 devices and then add 2 units every month. We estimate to take 8 checkups per day with each device, with a unit price of 20 euros, so the revenues will be 2,000 euros per month with each device. The potential market for this product is huge. Just think that only in Italy, that will be our starting point, there are more than 10,000 optician shops. We already reached a pre-agreement with 5 shops, and now we are in contact with the Italian National Opticians Association. Can you guess how many opticians are here in the United States? Well, there are more than 67,000. We plan to go to the market on January 2017, and to do so we ask for $120,000. We need this money mostly for the clinical tests and for the European certification for medical devices. The certification can be easily obtained since the device has already it, and we just need to prove the medical application. We also provide data protection with the help of a local company specialized in medical data security and privacy. We'll be able to recover our initial investment within 1 year. Precisely, our break-even point will be after 11 months, when we'll have 23 operating units. I'm pretty sure that you would like to ask me why nobody else thought about iCheck before. A lot of research has been done with this kind of method, but actually we are the first that think that the right method, that the right place for this device is not a hospital. There are more accurate techniques in the hospitals, but as we said before, they need time and expensive machines. This leads to a limited number of examined patients. So our aim is to capture as many people as possible when they are still in the early stage of the pathology. So what is better than placing iCheck in optician shops? And now let me introduce you the team that created all this. 3 software developers, a medical imaging PhD that unfortunately couldn't be here, a biomedical engineer, and a business planner. So, if you bet on iCheck, you bet on a considerable and substantial healthcare improvement in many geographical areas, including the developing countries. Our purpose is to give to humanitarian associations the updated devices once the leasing period is finished. And our commitment is to extend this method to other pathologies that can be diagnosed by analyzing the temperature profile. The most widespread ones are the macular degeneration, the diabetic retinopathy, and the dry eye syndrome, which together involve more than 600 million of affected people. So, what are you waiting for? Be ready to join us in the realization of this big dream. Be ready to create the future, and together we'll save millions of lives. This is iCheck. Thank you.
I'll try this one. very innovative product and huge impact. Still not working. I'll trade you. Oh, would you mind clarifying the revenue model for me? You identified key parts of it, but I just wanted to be clear what you're selling, what the unit price is, to whom and how many you would sell, let's say in the first year.
Yeah. So, well, we want to start with 3 devices in Trentino region, and for each device we estimate 8 checkups per day at the initial stage, and every checkup has a unit price of 20 euros. Then we add 2 devices every 30 days, so every month, and we estimate to have 2,000 euros of revenues per each device per month.
So as the optician, I buy the unit, or you give me the unit?
No, we lease the hardware from the supplier, so thermal camera supplier, and then we add the software, our software, and then we give the device to opticians for free. Obviously, for opticians, the revenue will come from the 40% of the share of every checkup that is done, so on the price of every checkup that is done.
Thank you, that is helpful.
All right.
Can you guys get into more specifics about the types of ocular cancers that this can work for? Is it just surface-based cancers? You know, what percentage of those are? How many of those? Like, what's the incidence of that, for example, in Italy or in the world?
Usually, cancer is not in surface. It's on the back part of the eye. It's usually the area of the retina. But yeah, actually, our device is only measuring the surface temperature. We cannot go deeper in that, but still the heat difference, even in the back of the eye, will still have an impact on the frontal part of it. So back there, the difference will be even bigger, but we can still capture the difference on the frontal part of the eye. Yeah. And the eye cancer is roughly 5% of all kinds of cancer. That's the number.
And how unique and protectable is this idea that, you know, you can take a quick, using a thermal camera to look at temperature difference? I mean, how protectable is that? How well known of a scientific technique is that? How unique is it to what you guys? Is there an original discovery behind that? Could you just talk about that?
Yeah, the research has been already done over this method. Actually, it's not just differences, because calling them differences could seem too simplistic, too simplified. Yeah, it's more than a bit of a complicated algorithm. It involves time, gradient. You guys say gradient in English. So that's a bit of more of a mathematical model back there. And how protectable? I think we'll keep it secret. Yeah. We can patent it, but not in Europe, because in Europe the law do not allow us to patent software. So we have to choose, or we patent it outside Europe, or we keep it secret.
So just piggybacking on this question, what's the false positive rate?
Can you go back to the slide, please?
Because when you say 98% accuracy, can you talk to me about that? Like 98% of people who have been tested on it
got the right answer.
Got the right answer.
Yeah.
And out of those, meaning they were diagnosed with actual eye cancer rather than having any other potential illnesses of the eye. It's definitely cancer.
It was cancer because it was already diagnosed with other techniques, basically biopsy.
Okay.
So we were pretty sure that they had it, and then we just tried it on them. That's why we needed the hospital. We had the partnership with the hospital, so they...
Hold on, so the 98% was the patients that you have tested on were already diagnosed with an eye cancer, and
Yes.
you just confirmed the diagnosis.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you tried it the other way around?
Have you tried this? Sorry.
Okay, that's negative.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
that's one.
okay. Thank you.
So if I look at your 2x2 table, then you predicted, you have your true and your negative at 45. So if you're looking at just a screen, how specific are you, or how sensitive are you? Two different questions. But your positivity rate is very high, which is very good. When you go to your trues and your negatives, you have a pretty big discordance there. Is that?
That's why we need some additional testing. It's not done yet. And mainly that one that you can see there is basically based on the dimension. So the bigger it gets, the easier it's to catch it. But the smaller it is, yeah, right.
You've been using the word optician. And in the United States, there are opticians, optometrists, and ophthalmologists. So an optician is a technician, an optometrist is a doctor of optometry, and an ophthalmologist is a medical doctor. So just clarification, when you were saying optician, did you mean a doctor of optometry or somebody who fits glasses and
Someone who fits glasses.
okay.
That's because they have more people coming in, right? We have more shops, so more people coming in.
I have a few questions, and actually there's a lot of questions from the audience as well. But I guess the first question I have is, you don't hear very much about eye cancer. It's just not very prevalent. Roughly how many cases in Italy per year?
In Italy, there are roughly 4,000 new cases each year.
4,000?
And they usually don't hear about it because you can't heal from it if it's in an early stage. So it's diagnosed too late, and the choices are two. We're blind or we're dead. So you can't hear someone, oh, I had eye cancer, and they just heal from it.
Right, okay. The 120, I mean, in the United States, it would cost a lot more to qualify and certify a medical device than what you had up there. I think you said, what, 100,000? Is the process much simpler in Europe?
Qualifying in Europe just requires human labor because the FDA certification needs to run a lot of tests in order to prove the goodness of the method. While in Europe, the CA certification only requires to prove that you do not make harm to the patient when using it. So just human labor for 2 months.
Yeah, that's very different.
Okay. That's why it's so cheap.
And I saw at the very end, put up your last slide where you talked about other eye diseases. You were talking about like macular degeneration. Is this device, are you thinking that this can eventually detect other eye diseases besides eye cancer?
Yeah, those are the diseases that can be detected.
So are you suggesting that this method can be used to detect all these different diseases?
Yeah, because all these methods involve more blood in your eye. So if you get blood, that's a heat vector, right? So having more blood will involve a higher temperature on the eye.
So done an experiment, this is a very different signature between, like, for example, macular degeneration and eye cancer that you can see in the thermal image?
Yeah, I don't know. The threshold will be different, yeah. So the threshold of difference will be different.
Okay.
As I'm thinking through this, you said you were targeting the opticians, but how important is analysis of the data to the diagnosis for the patient? And in other words, the interpretation of the information? Because typically an ophthalmologist would be more, because of their medical training, would be able to make probably a more accurate diagnosis than someone who simply fits glasses. And I was just curious how much analysis and interpretation of the information that's shared from the thermal imaging, how much does it need?
Yeah, basically we shot the captures just to make you understand how it works, but the optician will only see yes or no, so green or red. And as he said, it's just a pre-screening, and if you get the yes answer, you need to go to tomography, but that will cost you maybe 300 euros, you need a specialist and so on.
Okay, some questions from the audience. From a Google search, there are quite a few similar technologies available as a phone app. Some have already been tested as well. What differentiates your product from those apps? And there's an example link here for something similar.
Yeah, I know that application came out like 1 month ago, but it's not specific for cancer. You just you get a photo of how do you call it? Just get a normal photo, yeah. You don't get it thermal. So you get the photo, you send it to a specialist, he analyzes it, but you take images of the retina, which is the backside. It's photo-based, not thermal-based.
Right, okay, so your real secret sauce in a way is how you analyze the thermal image. Yeah, okay. If your accuracy is 98% and you test 1 million people, so 7 will have eye cancer, and you will have 20,000 false positives. It says, how is this an improvement? I guess how are you going to try to improve the accuracy of your test?
By improving the threshold that we say is yes or no. We are studying the ROC curves, which are used in this field, but that's why we need some more numbers in order to define the threshold.
Okay. All right, don't leave us stop. Okay, thank you very much.